you're only as sick as your secrets.
How was your mom when you said all this shit to her?
Oh, dude, it was amazing. I felt closer to her than I had in so long. And she was like, I always knew there was like a sadness about you that I couldn't put my finger on. Truly, the rings helped me feel more kind of effeminate. Started wearing rings to talk with and being like more effeminate and like, I don't know, it's just been great. But when Dante shows you his rings, he's like, look. And when I show you my rings, I go, look.
You're listening to the Dear Buddies podcast.
You will grow from boys into men.
Whatever, dude.
What does that look? Don't get weird on me.
Hey, buddy.
For all those questions you can't bring yourself to ask your friends, ask your buddies.
Welcome to the Dear Buddies podcast. We are very excited to have a special guest. Before we get to that, rate, review, subscribe. If you're listening, watch us on YouTube because the clips are super fun. We do a nice 3-camera shooting here. If you're watching us, hit that hit us on Instagram, everything, YouTube, all that, at Dear Buddies podcast. We love you. Special guest.
Oh, we got a big guest in here.
Buddy, this one's going to be a fun one. We're coming in hot, too, because we're all trying to get places. We have a very funny comedian. You can see him at the Comedy Cellar. You can see him on Comedy Central. You've seen him. Have you? You've done comedy. Yeah, you've done something.
Yes, but not recently.
No, buddy.
5 years
You
ago.
think you're going to email clubs with that credit, you prick? Also on the road a ton. You still open for David Tell?
Yes.
Open for David Tell a lot.
And I'm
Legends of
headlining
Business.
on my own now. I'm very excited.
excited.
Mentioned by Louis C.K.
Yes,
gonna be the
that's
biggest
right.
one.
Co-signed by Louis.
Ian
Yeah,
Fidance.
Ian Fidance.
Yeah. Thank you.
This guy's on every podcast.
New
Finally got him
podcast
into
coming
ours.
on.
What's
out,
the new one?
Already out. Bein Ian.
Bein Ian.
Bein
Is
Ian.
it Bein Ian with Jordan?
It's Bein Ian. Jordan's on every other week.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's
Yes.
put
We-
it to the side.
Fine.
You
I'll
know.
also do your podcast.
I would love for you guys to
Thank
do the
for inviting
podcast.
me.
Come on.
Let's have a good time.
Leave the passive aggression
Buddy,
here.
I'll say though, the
Sam,
the Dyke
you're
Show one,
welcome. You are welcome, Michael. Chrissy, let's take it
We're
easy.
gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem this episode. I already feel it.
I know.
But the Dykstra one though, you should
Yes.
call me next time because he has a lot of controversy with some Mets players. You could have asked about it.
Oh, well, he's
deep-
coming back.
Deep controversy.
He's
too.
coming. We're like friends now. He called me yesterday to talk about his lawyers.
Yeah, he's
we're
fully
buds
on
now.
crack.
Well,
definitely.
He's not on
Lenny,
crack.
If Lenny Dykstra is calling Ian Fidance for legal advice,
Yeah.
that man is
No, no,
living.
no.
He's living in a gutter.
It was not calling for legal advice. It was calling a friend to just bitch and kvetch about life and
The best part about-
legalities.
When I'm
Dyke-
scrolling through my phone looking for help for legal, I'm gonna go. If I see Ian Fidance, I'm gonna go. Not today.
He didn't go, what do you think about this? He went, lawyers, they rake you for everything. And I go, Lenny, tell me about
That's
it,
part
brother.
of Dykstra. He's a former Met, obviously, but he's in the Mets like universe. So when he tweets something, he'll tweet once a month and go, "It's been 17 months I've been arrested."
Oh,
It's been
I
18 months
retweeted.
I've been
I
arrested."
retweeted.
It's the funniest thing,
Bro,
I've ever seen.
do you know what he tweeted about the fucking podcast? So we did the episode with me, Lenny Dykstra, Chris O'Connor, Tommy Pope, great Philly comics, Stuff Island, yay. This is what he tweeted, okay? He tweeted, okay, sorry, I have to find it. I had to pull it up. Didn't know we were going to talk about this, but, okay, all right. This is what Lenny Dykstra said. Okay, he said, so my Twitter is ianimal69.
Yeah.
That's Twitter and Instagram.
Ianimal69.
He tweeted, my interview with iAnimal Law Asia and the others. He tagged the Institute of Animal Law of Asia and said the others were referring to Tommy and Chris, and then posted the episode to the Animal Law Institute of Asia.
He's doing well. The guy's doing great.
He's doing great. Yeah.
Dude, his book House of Nails, incredible. You got to read
insane.
it. It's insane.
Yeah, I've
Dude,
read
he
some
told
of
a
it.
story in the podcast about doing coke with Robert De Niro, and he calls doing coke Keith Richards because Keith Richards looks like a line of coke. So when he's got good coke, he's like, "You want to do some of Richards' greatest hits?" Which I fucking love.
That's the best.
And so he in his book, there's a picture of him laying in a $5,000 a night bed on Manhattan's Upper West Side. He goes, when I had it all, I decided to stay in a $5,000 a night hotel on the Upper West Side. I'm reading that, and then I'm like, and now you're doing a podcast in my basement.
Now you're doing the Institute for Animal Welfare of Asia's podcast.
Things ain't going well for the Dykstra.
He's fucking tweeting at pandas telling them to watch our
Jesus
podcast.
Christ.
But so that book, he taught to picks us right into what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Is so, dear buddies, we try to talk about things that guys you're typically incapable of talking about. We try to like, pick a topic. And the one that you obviously told him about what we're doing.
Yeah, we
here.
talked.
Yeah.
Openness.
About being open.
Yes. And I'd like to be open off the bat and say, you're a fucking bitch for leaving the podcast early to go see the Mets play.
Listen, what do you
can't be 20 minutes late.
Listen, if it was sorry, if it was a ska festival, you'd be going crazy too, okay?
If it was
you'd be dancing on stage, going nuts, taking your shirt off.
A penny full of a sock full of pennies.
Yeah.
Penny full
My
of
ska band, by the way, check it out. Sock full of pennies, PENNYZ. Now, I thought you were a spot, and it's like, fuck me.
I barely do comedy. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Fuck me, thinking Scopo and spots.
That is my spot tonight.
So
I'm going to do 7 minutes.
Are you meeting friends there?
My dad.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll let it slide.
And my girlfriend. So she's actually going to be. So is my girlfriend and my dad going to be there together?
You didn't tell me that. You weren't open to me about it.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you.
Perfect.
Buddies are supposed to be open. Somebody's closed off.
So Ian, I think there was a point in your life, and this is why we wanted to talk to you about this, where you weren't so open. And we're not talking about necessarily sexuality and stuff. Just talking about in general being okay to be open to everything, being open with.
Yeah, you were very
friends.
Delco.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So.
I've had incidents with both of you that stick out in my mind in regards to my openness.
Let's talk about it.
Well, one is
5 minutes ago.
You used to touch me, and I'm very closed off about being touched. And
I did like grab your shoulder as like a hey, what's up?
And I was like,
shook. And I remembered, I was like, I haven't seen you so long.
I don't like being touched.
Yeah.
Because there's some incidences I'm still not open about. But you specifically, I don't know if you remember, but you had just moved to town. We did a show, and then I drove you home. I don't know what gig it was, but you had flippantly mentioned on stage that you had like hooked up with a guy or something like that. And this was around the time that I was coming to terms with who I am and the things I've done and everything, and hearing you, a guy that you wouldn't expect that to be a part of your life, and hearing you say that openly made me feel okay with that part of my life, and felt like maybe I could also tell people about this stuff.
I do remember that. I was at the creek in the cave, and
he was lying.
I always wondered. Not always wondered, but I was like, I wonder if he remembers telling me that, or if is that just a thing he told me just to like instead of saying nice show, or was that something that actually affected you? Because you seemed very serious about it.
Totally.
I was like, oh, that's so great. And then I beyond moving past that, there's been I've seen you be more, and I was like, I wonder if that actually was a
Were you trying
100 million?
Were you trying to like talk to him about it, or like were you trying to like look for like a light to be like, oh, we can talk about this with each other? Kind of thing. When you talked to him about it, when you drove him home, were you trying to be like, oh, we can talk about it?
Yeah. What made you? What was the?
I was just at a point. I was just at a point in my life where like I had kept this such a secret for so long that I truly thought I was going to die with this stuff inside me, never coming out. And I was like in therapy. I think like 2 or 3 times a week. I was in therapy twice a week. I was in group therapy for self-esteem, and I like was at this point where I was like, I have to say this about myself because I'm tired of like having secrets. I'm tired of living a double life, and ultimately all I want to do is be a great stand-up, and I feel like in order to be a great stand-up, you have to be 100% honest, for better or worse, on stage with your life. That's just me. I wish I was a guy that could hide behind jokes and just do observational and like whatever, and not put my life out there. But
Mark Norman.
The way I work, or like Attell or Gilbert Gottfried, like they are just joke. Norm Macdonald, joke.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about them personally. I wish I could be that, but just the way it's turned out, I am a narcissist, I guess. And I observe things about my life and parse that and can talk about other bigger things through like the lens of my life. And all I want to do is be a great stand-up. And I found this point where I was like, what am I even talking about on stage?
Right.
I'm like fucking doing a magic trick where I'm fucking showing you cards over here, and I got these like secrets over here. I'm not even addressing. Yeah, the rabbits are dead in the hat because they fucking choked on each other's dicks 69 and in a 1 hour paid by hour motel while your friends are hanging out and you're telling them that you were out of town. And so
What is that?
What?
So the question. So what I wanted to.
Well, I'm saying I wanted to be. I got to a point where my personal life wasn't living in tandem with my on-stage life,
Right.
and I had to start to be honest in my personal life on stage, for better or worse.
Both of them couldn't exist separately.
No.
One of them, they either go together or none of them go.
It was a facade.
So it's either
you
going to
put
be
it up a front.
Well, I felt it was out of self-preservation because my whole life I was so worried about people leaving me that I was like, if they find out who I really am, no one will want me around. No one's going to want to be near me. People will leave me. And so I just kept it in and never told anyone because I was so afraid of like that rejection. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. The only thing I care about in life is being a great stand-up. And the only way to be great is by just laying it all out there for better or worse. And so that stand-up helped me be more honest in my personal life, and being more honest in my personal life helped me be better at stand-up.
So let's go back to early Ian, like young Ian, pre-being the Ian who
Pre-being Ian.
Pre-being Ian. The new episode coming out.
New podcast.
What was it like? Like, what was being closed to you mean? So the opposite of don't worry about this.
No, I was just doing things in secret, never telling anyone, and then like
how early was it? So what? I mean, I don't think we've mentioned, like we've talked about it, but so you've come out recently in the last couple of years. How would you?
Yeah,
how do I say it for you?
Well, here's I guess I am bisexual, but the more I go into who I am and figure myself out, the more I've realized that I think I'm just criminally horny. I just will truly fuck anything just to get outside myself. And it just so happens that it's been guys and trans women because, I couldn't find a gal or whatever. My fantasy life in terms of pornography and what I fantasize about is just a Baclanov, flesh and cocks and this crazy, because I'm a control freak. I have to be in control of my life. And then I fantasize about just being overtaken and having no control and just submitting to these
That's a fetish
men, Well, a fetish I think is something you act on. I don't act on it.
Oh, okay.
And when I have had the opportunity to get railed out, I'm like, oh no, I don't want that. I'm not fucking gay, you know. But
You're
it's
the
this
railer.
weird I'm the railer.
There you go.
But it's this fantasy.
Do you have that though, where when you say no still to stuff like that? Do you go, fuck, I wish I would have said yes? Or is there still something holding you back?
No, because
from
I'll
allowing that
do
part of
these
you to be?
things, whether it's me with a prostitute or a trans woman or a guy, where I'll think I want to do it. And I relate it to when I got high, where it was or when I was drinking, of this thing of it would just, I would feel out of my body. My body would be behaving and I'd be watching myself and I'd be like, what are you doing? But my body would just be acting because I knew the relief I was going to get was just going to make everything go away. You'll feel better. And then I would do it and I'd be like, what are you doing, man? You didn't even want to do this. This doesn't feel good. And I found myself eventually acting in this way, whether it was drinking or getting high or being with prostitutes or men, that I would be doing it. I would have a dick in my mouth and be like, come on, you don't even like this, dude. What are you doing? And so that's why I feel it was my Bowie phase or I don't know. But I had to talk about it to figure all this stuff out because I secretly was well, you've been with men, so you're a gay man. And I'm I don't think I'm gay. I can't be gay. I don't know.
We want to talk about that, the stigma of guys who are guys. Everyone would be like, you're just gay, you're closeted.
Well,
Is that
that's
a thing?
fucking... Yes, it's a thing, because I would talk about this on stage, and I go to a green room, and everyone would be like, I didn't know you were a fag. Oh, what? You're sucking dick now? Oh, what are you, gay? And then that would piss me off, because I found that a woman talks about fucking or
Being
sucking
bisexual,
and then going back in the green room, and no guys are like, so you fucking, you want to fuck, blah blah, and then they won't make comments about their vagina or what they talk about. But for some reason, because I talked about being
about
this, guys felt comfortable to be like, oh, you're a fag now? I didn't know that. Or, oh, you said, and And that helped me in a way to put up a boundary, be like, I don't play like that. Like, fuck you. Don't fucking talk to me like that. And I've had to have conversations with comics, and I'll never do anything publicly. I'll never call anyone out. I hate that shit. But at man to man, I've had to pull comics aside and be like, yo, I know this is like whatever, but I don't like that. Don't call me that. If you want to talk about something, I'm an open book, but personally, don't say that shit to me in a green room in front of other comics. And if you do it again, I'm going to knock you the fuck out.
Did anyone get scared? Like, oh my God, he's trying to blow me?
No, you fucking dick. No, I'm not going to a Met game in 20 minutes.
No. Did anyone get scared? Like, they were like, oh shit, like, sorry, I didn't.
You're
no,
you got
a lot of energy.
Yeah,
and you're a strong kid. So,
but
like,
even like gay people have brought me on stage as like, this next guy's bisexual and la la. And one guy brought me on stage, was like, this next comic, or no, came up after me and he couldn't follow me, so he did jump onto like my act, you know, and talk about my thing. And he goes, he was like, oh God, give it up for Ian. He gives everyone in the LGBT a bad name, or like makes us look bad, or something like that. And I took him aside after the show. I was like, don't you ever fucking do that again. I was like, you're the reason I've never felt comfortable in that community. You're the reason. Learn how to write a fucking joke and stand on your own instead of pulling me and shitting on me.
How did that interaction go on his side?
I mean, he cried and was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. And dude, we hugged and talked, and now we're like friends. And everyone I've ever taken aside to put up that boundary, we become better friends afterwards.
But that's the beauty about speaking your mind. Like, that's something, like, I think that as guys, I think a reaction to someone calling you that in a green room is an uncomfortable, I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to make fun of you. It's like something about men, we don't lose that schoolyard mentality about certain things. And when it comes to sexuality, I think it's very, very difficult for us to say, cool.
Yeah, where I'm from, like, it's you, like, you're gay if you like guys. That's it. There's no like.
Yeah.
So what about again? Let's young
but
Ian.
I will say again, like, putting up those boundaries and talking and being open in like therapy about my feelings has made me realize what I like and what I don't like. And I don't like the feeling of holding things in, and I don't like the feeling of resentment or disliking you and not talking to you about it. And then when I see you, I stew. I don't ever want that. So I'd rather confront you and have a conversation and let you know how I feel. Because then it's in the open and I go, okay, no, I don't feel this way anymore. Let's fucking dap up. Let's hug. I'll cop a feel. And then, we'll move on.
Got it.
And I love that. I hate holding things in.
So before that, though, before you came to that realization.
Can you tell I don't want to get into my childhood because I keep deflecting?
I know. I was just thinking,
and I specifically told Chrissy I didn't want to fucking get into.
Do you not want to? We don't have to.
I mean, we can talk surface.
No.
But,
I wasn't going to go. I was just talking more about, like, what was it like pre-being, when I say young Ian, I'm talking about like before you were like, so that amount of honesty with other people, I'm sure was like, you had to come to an explosion point. You had to come to a tipping point. So before that, like, can you see a difference between like that Ian versus this Ian?
Oh yeah.
And, like, what your life is like?
Oh bro, I had so much anger inside of me, and like that's part of the reason why I drank, is because it released that valve.
Yeah.
You know, I could like feel sadness, I could feel anger, I could feel like euphoria, and now I feel that in raw dogging reality, you know, because I'm in touch with that and I've addressed all that. But before, I had to compartmentalize so many different parts of my life that I couldn't, it would just burst out of me at certain times. And like, I found myself even like riding my bike, I'm so much more calmer on the bike now. And like, sometimes you have to pop off, but like, you know, if someone cuts me off, I'm like, hey, whoa, watch it. Or like, hey, you're going down the wrong way. And like before, dude, I would have my chain out and I'd be like, what the fuck do you want? I'd circle around and fucking take my shirt off and like confront, because I had a lot of anger, you know, because I wasn't being who I am. And I think people sometimes get caught up in like, I need to live my truth, but it's still a surface level truth.
Right.
And I need to live my truth, and then they hide behind this identity of this like truth. A certain thing. And it's like, I I never felt comfortable being like, I'm bisexual, I'm part of this. It was always just like, no, I think I'm just me, and whatever that means is what it means. And I don't ever want to, you know, I operate better, and this is the thing from getting sober, is like, we're only as sick as our secrets. So like, I operate better when things are in the open and not like bleeding out for everyone or just like oversharing or trauma bonding, but like, I very much keep things
to the chest a little bit.
Yeah. But I don't see that as keeping a secret now. I see that as keeping a boundary, you know, and like putting boundaries is like way healthy, and like it's way healthier to view it that way than like my secrets, you know.
Well, what happened first? You being more open or sobriety? Did sobriety leave you to being open? Like, what was the thing that you stopped drinking and then you were open, or?
Well, a big part of sobriety in a program of recovery is you have to be honest.
Yeah.
You have to live to rigorous honesty of fearless searching moral inventory. And so you like say
It's a rough
everything.
inventory too.
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
it's a fucking long inventory.
tough.
You know, I'm fucking on the calculator like this, and the receipts rolling through. You know,
Oh yeah, like 2005. What did I do?
oh, bro,
shit.
it is fucking rough. But I will say, again, like I kept this stuff inside, and like in one of my steps of like being honest, you know, you get a sponsor, and like I always picked like hard-nosed, hard-ass, like alpha guys, because I'm like, they'll kick me into, you know, behaving better. They'll
Scare you
kick my
straight.
ass. Yeah. So, dude, this guy, I tell him, and I finally have the courage to tell another man, like, look, man, I've been with like, and this is like 2010 or something.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, dude, I've been with guys, and I used to, you know, like make guys blow me and then buy me booze or drugs so that I would be like, yeah, see, I'm not a fag like you are, you know,
Very
like
alpha, yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, that when you hear someone's inventory, you're supposed to be very like accepting, and like even like I could be like, I killed a family driving drunk and drove away, and they're like, hey man,
me
it's
more.
good,
Hey,
it's all
we've all
right,
done it.
you know,
We've all done it.
give me a
Yeah.
hug, it's okay, don't beat yourself up. But he called me a fag, and like he was joking, but he was like, that was not the time for fucking jokes. I was like like most vulnerable, and I wonder if that's like a guy thing, or if that's like him feeling like too vulnerable in that moment. But like in that moment, I needed a fucking hug, and instead he like went for the joke, and that like fucked me up. And I was
Really?
like, yeah, I was like, well, put that back in the
Yeah.
in the lockbox.
It probably took years to get that back
Bro,
out.
yes,
moment.
that was in 2010. I didn't start talking about this in fucking therapy until like 2016. Wow. You know, and I kept fucking drinking, you know, and that guy also, bad apple. He got like lung cancer or something, and then like used that against me. He's still drinking now. Like he's a troubled, sick guy, and I think that's why I gravitated to him, because I'm fucking sick. You know.
Yeah, you wanted maybe an easy sponsor.
Yeah, you had a tattoo of
sponsor that you could commiserate with rather
He had
than
5 rings. Ian, this is my guy right now.
One of them was a cock ring. I was like, let's go.
Party, bro.
6 rings. Anyway, has it ever backfired on you since being? I don't want to use the word confrontational, but since being able to speak your mind and being Ian.
What do you mean?
Like, has it ever backfired when you tell somebody like, "Hey, man, don't do that to me"? When someone says it on stage, or like when someone calls you a name or does something to you, and like when you go, "Hey, look, you knock this the fuck off." Has it ever been like? Has anyone ever given you pushback for that?
No, and if they do, they're gonna fuck around and find out. But I will say no, because I feel like if me or you or anyone like leads with like whatever their truth is, and says how they feel with no ill intentions, and is just straightforward and honest, then you're not going to have a problem. Most people are reasonable. Most people don't know. When those people called me like whatever,
Right.
they weren't being mean. They were like being mean as how I took it, but they were like joking because it made them I don't think anyone was being malicious with it, except for I'm thinking of 2 people, and I whatever, but the
Do you want to mention them? We can bleep it out for fun.
Yeah, right.
I will.
We all know them, and they're a fat fucking loser.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
Kidding.
Fucking bleep this out, but it was fucking. and he's a piece of shit. But anyway,
I can't wait to beat that.
yeah,
That's a good one.
Oh, what a fat fucking meatball. Anyway, he's fucking gay, by the way. He's secretly gay. I know he's secretly gay. Just how often he brings up gay shit to me and everything. Keep it.
What about family? Like, has any like relatives, anything like that, where you went, not the coming out part, but like, or not the, I hate the word saying
Dude,
coming out,
here's
because
the
it's
thing,
more
though.
just you being you.
Everything, like I said, like nobody was malicious when they were saying stuff. It was always the way I took, because I've always been like sensitive, and you know me and like my guys from Philly, they're all brutal fucking ball busters. So like, I would just be sensitive about things and be like, "Oh, you a fag," and they didn't even know, and I'm like, "It's true." How do they know? They knew my shit. Did they see me on 34th and 5th? Oh, dude, one night I ended up, you know, me and this guy gave each other a hand job in the park, and I saw another comic. It was 4 a.m. He's like, "Where are you coming from?" And I was like, "The road."
He's like the actual road. The actual road.
Yeah, the side of the road, the Molly Pitcher rest stop. So
we didn't break into a public restroom.
Like, when you meet up for a hand job with a guy, how does that like? Do you like? Is it crazy?
look at him doing his homework.
Asking this question.
Because listen, I'm going to be at the Mets.
I'm going to the Mets.
I'm going to the Mets game later, and it's going to be a guy in the bathroom. He might want to fucking release some stress. So like how does that work out? Craigslist, or like you just see guys and go,
or there's like cruising spots.
Oh, okay.
Where it's everyone knows, like you go here and whatever. But what I was saying was
No, what do I go to avoid?
I really don't think people are malicious. That there are some people are, and it's like that's on them. Cool, you want to be malicious? You're living
you
a
got
bad
problems.
life, man. You're just depriving yourself of joy. And I don't think anyone has been like, I'm gonna, fuck Ian. I'm gonna do that. And so I just need to clear that up with them and set my boundary and be like, hey, this is how I feel. Don't do this again. And it's always ended well. It's always been like, dude, no, I love you. I didn't mean, I had no idea. Because sometimes people don't know.
And it's great that you have that mode to be able to go, I know you weren't being malicious.
Yeah.
Here's the boundary.
Yeah.
And let's start clean.
Yeah.
Because some people aren't willing to be that for people. Like, you wronged me, whether you knew you wronged me or not, fuck you forever.
Yeah.
But to be able to
like
have
such
that
a heavy weight to carry.
There's such a maturity to it.
Yeah.
And it's great. Again, this is coming from my perspective, but great to be able to be so young in that process of being able to have those conversations, to be that mature about it in a way.
I mean, it's everything has, it's taken so much, but I'm just grateful for everything, the good, the bad, and acceptance plays into that. And also like a lot of therapy, a lot of work in AA, a lot of work on myself, a lot of making the wrong decision and learning and like this and that. But like, I'm so grateful for it, but also like I learned that from my dad too. Like we would get in these things and he would, have to discipline me and I would cry or whatever. And then it was like, okay, let's go have a catch. And our catch was basically
the apology, you think?
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah.
The catch was like putting the bow on it. Like I had to do what I had to do, and now things are fine. You understand. Let's smooth things over. And after the catch, everything would just go back to normal of like wipe the slate clean. And so like I can say my piece, and then the catch is like the handshake or the hug. And then it's like, okay, I'm cool. Like when I say, yeah, no worries. I like really mean it. And I don't hang on to stuff.
Confronting somebody that says the wrong thing or to you or has treated you in a certain way is the catch, almost. Where it's like, let's have this out. We're good.
Yeah,
Let's have a catch.
But also it's like...
Or we can still have a catch. We can still be buds.
Yeah. It took a long time.
He just gonna bring baseballs around everywhere.
I got a mitt with me everywhere. I'm like, are you my dad? I'm just trying to have one last catch. Everything's the end of Field of Dreams.
You're pitching.
Ian talks to the crowd, just a mitt in his hand, and going back and forth.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask about blowback or negativity is because
I wanted to answer that.
Well, okay. Well, let me just...
Yeah.
So a lot of people that listen to the show, they have personal experience in a lot of these things, and sometimes it's great to listen to somebody who's had the thing that they might be going through. But it's something like this. It's like scary to a lot of people, as you well know. So like...
Well, can I just say,
go ahead, yeah.
To that, I would quote the great Allen Iverson, it's practice. Everything is practice.
Yeah.
Like... just do it. And like, if it didn't work out the way whatever, it's practice for the next thing, you know? And like, you learn, you know? And
I
like,
think there was also Nike. Just do it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or the great Reebok slogan.
yeah.
We should have signed Jordan.
Yeah. Or in Chris's sake, and one joke, the show. Do you want to add one in? Anyway, I'm
getting there. I'm working on it.
You're gonna leave.
Well, I'm stressed. Now my dad's calling me. He's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "This guy fucking late. I don't know what's going on."
I was gonna say, you know, the negative blowback. I build up this story in my head that no one's gonna love me if I tell them who I am. No one's gonna, you know, blah blah. And it was just me. Everyone I talked to was like, dude, I love you. Like family, friends. The only thing, I have one family member who's a piece of shit, and he has said to me, like, you know, I hope you get AIDS, like blah blah. And to him, I'm like, he's a fucking hick from Delaware, like a big MAGA guy. And dude, if you're a MAGA person, I don't care. I'm just coloring the story. Right. He's a piece of shit. And also, like, part of my family I didn't see or talk to for like 15 and 20 years, and he's a part of that family, and they've all been loving and accepting, blah blah. But this motherfucker, dude, he was like, I hope you get AIDS. And I'm like, I truly hope for you that you have gay children and they marry interracially, because that would destroy you. And if I see you at a family event, I'm knocking you the fuck out. And so I've put up a boundary with my family where now if I go home or I'm seeing them, I have to ask, is Tony there? Is Tony going to be there? Because if he is, I'm not going to go. And if he shows up, I'm going to go to jail.
Yeah, so what a bad
and that's
one.
just
Like,
the way it is.
Like AIDS is so treatable. It's like, what a bad one to do.
Well, he called it. He called it gay cancer. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, real original.
Think about
Now he's like, I hope the monkeypox gets you.
Yeah. I know. No, but it's
you haven't
funny
talked to
because
him
he
since.
wants monkeypox to get me, but Down syndrome has got his kids. What?
But you haven't, like, this has all been communication,
No,
like
and
over
dude,
the phone,
his sister,
Facebook, shit like that.
we text, she comes to show, we hang out. You know, it's like, it's all great
So you
except with him.
But you weren't. That's somebody who
Wasn't
probably
in my
weren't tight
life.
with anyway.
Was not tight. Not in my life, and he's just
So there
a
is a
fucking
chance
bigot.
that you will have blowback when whatever the thing is that you're holding on to or that you're scared to release from your being, who you are in real life. But like would you say? And I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. This side of it is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
way
Everything's better
Any
on the
regrets?
other side.
Any
No,
regrets?
He's doing
no
the Dear Grace
regrets.
podcast right now. He's
Yeah.
crushing
Yeah,
it.
I know.
7 colors of curtains
Well,
out here.
dude, I will say, in defense of like him and stuff.
With Tony.
Yeah, when I started being honest about this stuff, I was just saying everything on stage to like get it out, to figure it out. And I used to be like really vulgar. I used to be really explicit. And dude, I did a gig in Delaware, and my family came out in the front and second row, and I was like, well, I'm not going to change my act for them. This is just who I am and what I have to. And dude, it was like so dark, and like, and I suck this and I fucking lick this. And they're just like, we didn't know any of this. And so I can imagine he like told, or that part of he wasn't there, but they're like, wow, Ian's really different on stage. And so I can imagine.
Well,
No, he's not.
Sam had a great question. It's like, what was your first show like when you started talking about it? Like, how raw was the...
I forget.
Oh, you know what I
I
mean?
think it was at the Creek.
like
The
so-
Creek was like such a good place to just go and try shit. I think it was at the Creek in New York Comedy
Was it
Club.
liberating to be like, say all that shit on stage?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It was a Creek, and it was QED. Those are the first two places that I talked about on stage. And in terms of being open, like I realized I have to talk about being an alcoholic on stage because I used to not tell anyone. Like when I started in Philly, I was coming up from a halfway house with a breathalyzer in my car, and the only person that knew was Tim Butterly because I would pick him up and we would go to open mics. And I was like, yo, don't tell anyone, because I was afraid they'd all think I was a loser and not hang out. And so I never talked about this shit on stage. And what do you know? I kept drinking, you know? And so then it's like, I got to talk about it on stage because in a way
keep
that
you
keeps me
honest.
accountable, you know?
Did he keep your secret?
Yeah, he's a solid
Great
dude.
guy.
Yeah.
That's a
he's the
good friend.
best.
He's a good
Yeah.
guy.
I think it is like, with
Well,
like,
when I talked to you, you didn't tell anyone.
I didn't tell a soul.
Yeah, there you go.
With the not drinking, I
Wasn't
found that
my-
same way, by the way, of like not like kind of putting it out there, be like, oh, now I'm accountable.
Yeah.
For everybody to know. So which is a good thing.
Well,
to do.
again, like it's like you're only as sick as your secrets.
Yeah.
And I just have to be, as cheese dick as it sounds, like I have to be honest on stage with like where I am and what's going on, and that's a part of it.
How was your mom when you said all this shit to her?
About me being
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was amazing. We like hugged and cried, and I felt closer to her than I had in so long. And she just like was like, I always knew there was like a sadness about you that I couldn't put my finger on. And ever since then, it's truly helped me like find like even just like the rings helped me feel more, and like talking and being like kind of effeminate. Like it helped me more. Because I wasn't wearing rings. I was like, I used to dress like I was like always on a construction site. Like I thought like this is what you got to do with a guy. Yeah. And then, dude, I started wearing rings to talk with and being like more effeminate and like, I don't know, it's just been great. Like tapping
But the
into
rings
who I
aren't
am.
like feminine to me. Like there are guys who are ring guy. Like Dante wears rings and he's the
Yeah, but I'm
most
not
alpha
like
guy.
that kind of ring guy.
You have, I mean,
Yeah.
You're not wearing a wedding ring, a diamond.
But when Dante shows you his rings, he's like, look. And when I show you my rings, I go, look. So it's different.
Your nails are trimmed pretty good too, yeah.
I always have short nails. Fucking dudes with long nails are fucking gay.
Ian, do you find that, like, I don't know what you're still working through, but do you find that you open up about things on stage first or with your friends?
That's a good question.
That's why he's the fucking best producer in the business, baby.
Honestly, I think stage. Because if it's strangers, I can dump it
gives a
out and
shit?
I'll never
Yeah.
see him again.
Yeah.
And then friends have come to see me and they've been like, I didn't know that. When did you do that? What? And I'm like, yeah, it's like easier to be vulnerable on stage because you're never going to see these people again. And then also you have like a recording of it so you can like go back and like listen, But like with friends, because I care. And on stage, I don't care what you think of me, and I don't care what these fucking pigs think when I'm feeding them their slop, With my friends, I really do. So, but that's also a thing in me of like, I don't know, like I feel weird sometimes when like, and now I'm more honest with everyone in my personal life with everything. But like, I did feel weird for a while when people would see me and they'd be like, I didn't know that happened to you. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know. It's weird. I don't think anyone's. Good job, Sam.
Well, it's interesting because I
Time to deflect with a joke. Gay.
where's the joke?
Yeah, I mean, you're spitting truth here, buddy.
Well, I just had a conversation with my mom the other day. We were just talking. She had an accident. It was a thing. She was in the hospital for a while.
Sure,
we were
right?
talking a lot more. Yeah, she's
My God.
But we were talking about this podcast, and she was like, "It's interesting because there's so many things about you that I never knew."
Yeah.
And especially with this podcast, because we're talking about opening up and stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, so it's interesting to hear it for the first time.
Yeah.
Similar to what you're talking about. You say it on stage. We say it. We that's what we do as
Yeah.
comedians. And like with podcasts, you probably said a million things on podcasts you've never told anybody
Yeah.
before. So it's I mean, that's like a condition of the job, I think. But also like, I just had this conversation with my mom the other day. She's like, there's so many things. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry you had to hear that. She's like, no, I feel like I know more about you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the stuff you never would have told me anyway.
Yeah.
But now there's an outlet where I get to know my son a little bit.
Yeah.
more. Oh, God, so that's so sweet.
Well,
He's probably listening to this right now being like, shut up, stupid.
Well, no, it is a thing of like, I've also had to dial it back on like what I let the public consume about my life and like my feelings and stuff, and I had to learn that through fucking crossing the line and then dialing it back,
Do you do shows and people like kind of like say shit to you? It's like, I don't know you like that.
What do you mean?
Like fans say something about being gay, like you blow dude, and like, guy, I don't know you like that, but you talk about it so much.
Right.
Do they cross the line with you a little bit?
Well, I mean, if anything, like the way you and I had that talk in the car and that helped me, I get a lot of feedback, like the way I talk about it or on a podcast or like on stage has like helped them. So if anything, it's people wanting to relate and like say that. but there's no like every once in a while. I mean, guys are pigs. Every once in a while, a guy will be like, "I'm gonna fuck you," and I'm like, "Well, I don't get fucked." And second of all, you're not my type. But you know,
that's gonna hurt somebody going out there and like, not for you.
Well, that's the thing. All guys think when they're near like a gay guy or whatever, they're like,
They're
"Oh,
a
he's gonna fuck me," you know. And it's like, you know,
true.
we have standards too, you know. Even though I'm talking about jerking off a guy in a field, but you know.
Yeah.
But it's dark and I can't see.
Yeah.
So is he, you know?
Whoa, dude. 47 in and you hit it.
You know what?
We did
I
it.
gotta leave soon, but I don't like the fucking disparity I'm getting from
Well,
this
let's
side
go
of
ahead
the
and
table.
shut it down because I think this is really fun.
No, we got a little more time.
No, but I love that you guys do this because I feel like more guys need to talk about this stuff or just be like open. But then a part of me, the other side is like, are we just training a generation of fags? Like, you know, like dial it back.
Like, stop being too open. Relax a little
well,
bit.
that's the thing about being bi, because it's like, what am I really telling you? I'm just telling you about my sex life. I'm not like with gay people. It's like I'm gay and I'm gonna spend my life with a man. I'm not. I'm gonna spend my life with a woman. But for some reason, I think like, hey, I gotta let you guys know what I put in my body. You know,
I think it's
like,
ridiculous
ew.
on both sides. Like I think it's crazy to have to say people have to know what your sexual preference is. 'Cause
Yeah.
it makes no sense. It makes no
Yeah.
goddamn sense.
Yeah.
If anyone knows what anyone does in the bedroom, why?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah,
but
or the field or the bathroom.
Yeah, or a dumpster.
But
know,
also, like we on the show, and thank you for saying that. But like
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons we wanted to take this lane and take this on. And it's not been perfect. We're still trying to figure it out. But that's
For
the
sure.
show is three guys that are essentially stunted emotionally.
Nothing is perfect. We're all trying to figure it out.
What can we, if we can learn one thing every day on this podcast, one thing
Mm-hmm.
by just having conversation, an extended conversation about things that we don't know about or don't know a lot about, then it's a bonus for us, but also
Yeah.
for people listening. Maybe it's a conversation they want to hear, and they're too scared to talk about, but maybe they listen
Totally.
to it as a thing. So this is like a very
Yeah.
good way to kind of do that and to hear essentially regular dudes talking about things that regular guys don't like to
because
talk about.
so many other regular dudes feel this way about what you guys are talking about, what I'm saying, and they don't tell anyone. And then it shows guys come up to me that look like they're, you know, lawnmower mechanics, and they're like, "I was blowing my friend for 5 years. Don't tell anyone." I'm like, all right.
But they're all these. The only other outlet I think for guys is like Steven Crowder types, where it's just these like so hard nosed about what their opinion, they're right, you're wrong, that there's no wiggle room for any other option other than this is the rule. And so many guys I think get trapped into that.
I feel like as men, we got to have a spine, but your spine's got to have scoliosis.
Yeah.
You got to be able to bend a little, but still.
You gotta crack your back. You got to stretch every now and
Yeah.
then.
Honestly, like you tell people like, hey, listen, you crossed the line there, back it off, but you can fuck with me a little bit.
Yeah,
it's
totally,
fine. Yeah,
totally.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
one.
and also like people online, like a lot of comedy fans want to like. They hear us roast each other, so they think they can say something.
That's
la
a problem for everybody,
dude.
though.
I
You
will
probably get it a
say
lot.
I get it, and I get it too because they like enjoy us, and they it makes whatever. But I will say again, putting up the boundaries. Sometimes people have said some really fucking out of pocket shit to me, and I'll message them and be like, hey, I get jokes. I love jokes. You can joke about me about anything, but I do not like this type of joke or you saying things about this. And you may like me, but you don't respect me, because if you did, you wouldn't say it. And I don't like jokes like this. Don't do this again. And I'd appreciate it if you delete it. And dude, I'm telling you, troll of trolls, 9 times out of 10, they go, oh my God,
He didn't know.
I'm a fan.
busting
I've done that. This happened to me. I just wanted to. And they go, I'm so sorry. I'll take it down. And dude, a guy messaged me the other day and he goes, please don't post this. But I was in a really low place and I said some things to you and you told me and I've thought about it ever since and I'm so sorry. I'm drunk right now, but I had to say like da-da-da. And it's like, again, like I encourage everyone to put up boundaries in like a respectful way that where you stand up for yourself, because dude, I'm telling you, you feel so much better and it's like you're giving yourself the gift of self-worth instead of just like holding resentment or feeling this way or being a doormat. Like it really, really really helps.
And that was such a powerful giving yourself the gift of self-worth.
Yeah.
That's such a. So yeah, I was going to ask at the end to see if you had like one piece of advice for people about, but that seems to be a pretty good way to.
And dude, I'm saying this boundary stuff as somebody that for years had none and was raised with none, you know, which is good because you can build them and you can grow and you can figure them out, you know. And it's fun, you know.
You're definitely a changed person for the better.
Yeah, you've known me for a while.
I mean, you were very much Delco piece of shit.
Yeah. I was isolated.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I even told you a while ago, I was like, I'm not good with making friends, but I'd like to hang out sometime.
Yeah. I think you were hammering at a bar telling me this one time, and I was like, I'm not hanging out with this guy at all.
I couldn't do this stuff
You're both
sober.
having bars being like, I don't want to do this, but I want to do this, but I want to do this.
I don't want to do this, man.
Buddy, thank you so much for coming in and doing this. Let's do another one. I'd love to get you back in.
And I would love to have you guys on the podcast. Sammy, yes. No Pavone.
Yeah, but we went through the whole show. We did mention that fucking goon one time.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you know what?
Pavone's in
I
the
love
show.
it.
Best show ever.
I love it.
He's an Italy.
And can I just say, you stuck around. Thank you.
Look at this.
Hey, for
I thought
you.
were gonna leave
Thank
in 10
you.
minutes.
Have I
Thank
got
you.
a lot of anxiety? Yes. Do I be cursing you out in the train on the right home? 100% cursing you in.
the only one.
It's your fault, Chris.
Yeah. I know.
Go
What's the
Phillies!
What's the podcast?
Bein Ian.
Bein Ian.
Bein
Check
Ian.
it out.
Patreon.com/Bein Ian Pod. YouTube.com/Bein Ian Pod. Episodes Fridays, Patrons, regular episodes Mondays. We're having a blast.
You're the best. You're one of the best. Everyone loves
I
you.
love you, man. Thank you.
Thanks for
I
coming.
appreciate that.
Ian Fidance, everybody.
Oh, hey, how about
There'll be
it?
a follow-up episode too. Thanks so much for listening. See you later. Thanks. everybody.
Hey,
It was fun, man.
thank you, bro. And I really mean that about us in the car. And I'm
love you.
glad we could.
See you later.
Hey, give me a hug.
Hey, see you later.
I'm sorry for keeping.
No, don't worry about it.
You're the
It's
man,
fine.
bro.
I love you.